So I want to document my strategy going forward for October and for at least the next few days a week. Essentially, if you don't have the right strategy going into the day, and just like at a casino, if you go up to a table expecting to play Texas Hold'em, and the table is actually blackjack or roulette or something else, playing Texas Hold'em strategy is not going to work. So essentially, you need to have the right strategy. So I'm implementing strategies for the day. So the last few days, I've been kind of studying the price actions and trying to formulate the right strategy to play. And so these are the strategy I have in mind, and this is the results that implementing that strategy is what. So I don't want to chase, and the reason I don't want to chase is because often chasing, you get the option at a higher IV price because you're essentially going in late, and any reversal would stop you out. I have price targets, so that's good. Price targets are essentially the targets where I think are technical level that I can. If it doesn't get the price targets, I'll miss it. I'm not gonna chase or I'm not gonna push it. I want to follow the trend. So following the trend is very important. Counter trending will get statistically you're going the wrong direction if you counter trend. Now you can counter trend sometimes depending on the setup. I'm also going small. If you can see on my options or rather small options, I'm not going anything big because I want to develop the strategy, make sure that it's consistent. And even though the overall results isn't that significant, the fact that I was consistent for the whole day, um, pretty much for most of them, minus this option right here, is a is what I want to see as I'm developing this new strategy for October. So the other thing is I'm slowing it down. So how do I slow it down? Is I'm using the 15-minute candle. So here, for example, is the 15-minute candle. And by watching the 15-minute candle and making sure that the 15-minute candle form, you can establish a trend line using the 5-day moving average or the 5 candle moving average. And this trend line allows you to follow the correct trend. And if you just essentially watch the trend line, it gives you the correct direction to go, more or less. I mean, it's nothing is perfect, of course, but it also slows it down so that you make sure that the setup is correct. Otherwise, if you're using 1 minute or even the 5 minutes too slow or too fast, and it's hard, sometimes it's. I'm also waiting for the traps. As I watch for the traps, because everything is pretty much on manipulation, and I'm watching for the trap setup so I can go the opposite, and I'm watching the volume on the options for manipulation. So let's just go over Amazon because that's mainly what I played today. Essentially, everything I used was Amazon, and Amazon was being manipulated, and essentially it was being controlling the market more or less. So for Amazon, I was more or less sure it had Trump not announced the COVID thing, it would have probably gapped up. Um, and you can see right there, the price target at 50% on the Fibonacci has been surpassed. So today it probably would have gapped up and pushed up, probably 20, I mean, may even get to this level, 3,300 today, had it not been for Trump news. So once that once the Trump news released after hour, the futures were down a lot. Um, you have this huge gap down. So, I mean, normally I don't play option expiration, but the Trump news essentially wiped out any, it made things different for option expiration. They had to redo the whole strategy because of that. So, now I missed out on the initial gap down. It just so fast, but I just need to have a little bit. I just need to be braver and execute, basically have a order somewhere on, maybe on price target. I should do that, with a contingency. Like, and I knew if it's gonna get like that 30.50 or something, if I put an order below 31.50 to buy the cars, I would have gotten all of this gain up, because anytime you have a gap down of this magnitude, the chances are the imbalances of the options and the front runners. Remember, all this gap downs are really folks front running from the, getting in first from the futures, the pre-market, etc., and pushing it down, to benefit, for, in this case, the shorts. And so there's always typically a huge gap down is typically followed by reversal. And conversely, a huge gap up, like you saw yesterday, huge gap up all the way to 3,200. I mean, almost become unplayable when you have a gap up that high. Um, you have a sell-off. Now, it's hard to play the sell-off, even because it was such a huge gap up that, and I knew the bias was up. Missing this is kind of painful. At this point right here, I mean, yeah, this is a technical level, but they could have closed the gap because it's such a huge gap up. I was afraid of them closing the gap. So, but the trend obviously from yesterday was up. So playing the upside on any of the VWAP support would have been profitable yesterday. So that's something you can see on the price targets here. So having price targets is very important. This one, I hit the price target of 3,100 for, or 32, close to 3,200. Had it gone anywhere close to 3,200, like 3,198, I would have gotten the reversal. Now it's surprising, they did. It was really the 100-day moving average that was and here you see the support on the 100. Sometimes this is a technical line, but I was expecting close to 3,200. So I missed out on all this rundown, but I did get the VWAP support, here. So that price target, I was able to succeed and got this, reversal or moving up. Now I was waiting. This was the one I was waiting for the most, and I was watching it. This is what I'm talking about, where I say, wait for the trap. So this is a perfect example of a trap where you see, okay, the first, VWAP support is obvious, but then here you can see if it didn't reach VWAP, but it was close enough, and then here it didn't break out. So this is one, two, three candle. So this is the trap. This is where anyone who tried to think that it's going to continue to go up, well, it reversed down. And here is where I should have had a contingency order below this VWAP level, so that once it snapped down, now it snapped down so fast that I missed out, and I didn't want to chase it because I had the, discipline of the strategy that don't chase. Because, some often, you never know that sometimes it just snaps it down, and this intermediate support, on this, for example, here, this 100-day moving average on the 15-minute candle might have seen a reversal. So if you chase it and they have a reversal, you will have been stopped out, because when you're chasing it, the IV curve of the options, in this case the puts, go up significantly. So you're buying a put that is significantly higher because the snap down induced a lot of fear, therefore the IV curve jumps up. And chasing the puts, obviously the results was good if you held it. I mean, this is a good game, but the better strategy would be to have the contingency order that on the snap down, or even when it failed this, I mean, I could have gotten in. Obviously, you never know that it just feel it could have gone the other way. So a contingency would have probably been a better play. Price target below this VWAP, and once it snapped down, it hits that price target, and you get that put. And if you get enough, you can cover probably on here, and then with that profit, you can probably re-enter the puts and get this one. Now, this is the other price target that I'm really disappointed on. So this is the 61.8. So I knew about this price target, but I was looking for a flush. And typically, I know this is a 61, but I also was waiting for the 3100 because there was really nothing to prevent it from getting close to the 3100. Or, this is the after hours already 3114, but the closer is at 3125. So it didn't, well, at the time, here it is at 3126. I was expecting it to give me at least to this 50-day moving average, which would have been about 3116, maybe even closer. I mean, it just looked like it should have been a flush, but yeah, that was really disappointing. I mean, a more classical behavior of a flush, I would have gotten that flush, and this run up right here, I would have gotten that call to make, that's a good 5, 10,000 depending on how many calls I buy. Then I was waiting for the reversal, so I was waiting for this technical line right here, this VWAP. Now I didn't hit it, so I kind of missed that. Um, so that was also disappointing. I might have gotten one of these guys, small little guy, but it would have been better had this hit the VWAP. Um, so the other one I got was this run up right here at the 61. So once it penetrated at 61.8, these reversal candle, this was a good one to get this reversal because 61.8. I mean, once they have one flush, they're not gonna follow another flush. So at this point, I knew it was gonna be, especially these two candles right here already show that there's gonna be, it's gonna at least get to 61.8 for the target. So at this point right here, close to the end, I bought something to play for the next week, to hold on for Monday gap up because the bias I believe overall is up, minus the Trump news. But I bailed out because I just felt like anything over the weekend and already the aftermarket they hit it. It looks like in the aftermarket is already down to 3114. So any bad news over the weekend, and I'm sure they're gonna try to. I mean, the Democrats are gonna just leak more bad news, and any bad news on Trump and just gonna induce more fear. So there might be some additional fallout from this whole. Now I can't imagine that Trump is going to suffer anything bad health-wise because right now he detected the virus very early. So anytime you detect something this early, um, in the day in the infection, you can essentially remedy the issue with preventing the virus from spreading with a lot of means that they know right now. It's only when you capture the or detect it late and you develop heart symptoms or go to the hospital because you waited too long, that's when you suffer the brunt of the virus because the infection is already too high and you already have pneumonia or whatever. So, now, yeah, but there's never you never know for sure, and it could be bad. So it's something that to look, to wait. So I wouldn't be holding on anything over the day because at any point there may be bad news leak out with the infection, anything that could potentially, affect Trump negatively, and if it's the worst case, man, you're talking about a huge gap down over the futures, and probably you're gonna have something um, in the weekly. I mean, you're talking about a crash of a magnitude of huge order, like all the way down to this level on the next Fibonacci support. That's a 500 point away, where this moving average will essentially move up, and it'll hit it as this or maybe it starts moving down if it's a crash, yeah. But anyway, it should at least get to this level from the initial Fibonacci. If it's really bad news on Trump with the infection. So, and that's why you wouldn't want to hold anything intraday. So you want to play within between days. I mean, don't hold anything from one day to the next. Just play it intraday. And yeah, follow the trend. So that's what I'm doing now. It's difficult to follow the trend, especially when you see. I mean, this is a rare event. I would call this an outlier because this is the end of the quarter. So there's a lot of manipulation. You can see how they sold it all the way. I mean, this was a push at the beginning, or not a push, but it's a huge run up all the way to the 50%, and then for some reason they sold it all the way back down to the 61.8. I mean, that's amazing price target to price target, and then they gap it up all the way to the 50. I mean, essentially they gapped it up all the way to the 50. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the pre-market it was up here, so that's just 100. That's just so much manipulation to have that much gap up just for the new quarter. So I think this gap up, and not only this gap up, but the fact that any selling, you can see that they bought it back up, and it closed at essentially, higher than the price target, higher than the 50%. So it was trying to break out. Um, so here you have it, at this point it's above the 50%. So I mean, I'm almost positive if Trump didn't announce COVID, it probably would have gapped up today, and I'm thinking it would probably run close to 3,300 to this price level. There was a lot of options on the 3,200. If I was showing you the options on the 3,200, it was just tremendous. A lot of volume throughout the whole week on this guy. So yeah, yesterday. So it probably would have just kept running up because it was just a lot of, but then because of COVID and Trump, then they had to redo the strategy. So the shorts got in hand. And you can see a lot of volumes on the shorts. Essentially this one, look at this guy right here, the 3150. I mean, if you play this correctly, or at least if you play this like from getting at any point here, getting it doing the run up and selling it here, getting it back and then selling it. I mean, just cycling this options back and forth and watching this. This is, yeah, you would have gotten a lot of just made a lot of money just from watching this one. I wasn't watching it surprisingly, but I was watching more of the trend. And so look at this. At the very end, you could have. I mean, this is all the way close to here. I mean, I knew they were going to sell it off. I just felt like they were going to sell it off. If you would have watched it, you would have known that they were going to sell it off. They got it right here. Look at this volume push up, and then you can get. I mean, this is 12 to 24. That's double the options. I mean, yeah, I feel like, and even if you get one, that's 12 to 24. That's 12. That's 1200. Wow. Yeah, so this one's a good one to benchmark, to remember, or document. But overall, I think Amazon, pending, no bad news from Trump and everything gonna turn out fine, within a week or two. Um, Amazon is primed for a push and is primed to get to at least 50, probably the 50% retracement, maybe even more. So this, I'm almost positive that essentially once this flush out, maybe they'll flush it to the 3,100, whatever. Watching the options for next week, playing and watching the option, you should see a lot of buying or a lot of volume on one of these options, either the 3,100, 3,150, or even the 3,200, which would indicate, the bullish bias in that the option players are essentially collecting the options and waiting for their time to push it. And once they push it, man, it's gonna run so fast and so quick. So just, the right play, I think, is going to be in the positive direction on the any of the negative. So it may look like, that's what I mean by traps, right? They're gonna wait for the traps. So it's gonna look weak. And I don't know if, let's just assume they're gonna try to push it down because of all the Trump. It's gonna look weak. It's gonna look weak But then all of a sudden, it's just gonna get strength and it's gonna gap up, kind of like this way, look weak, kind of sell off. This is such a trap, right? It's all the way to 3,100 or this price level 61, and then the next day is just gap completely up. I mean, it's gonna be something like that because it's all option manipulation right now. So this gap, it may feel this gap at 3,100, so it'll probably maybe get down, and all of a sudden it'll gap up, 50, 70 points, maybe even more, especially on the price upgrade. And Amazon been having a lot of price upgrade lately, but it hasn't really moved. So I'm thinking, buying the calls at any point and holding it. It's gonna, now you gotta time it correctly, or at least wait for some development that Trump is not on his deathbed, or there's something where he's, if the news come out that he's really in bad trouble, in bad shape, then yeah, it's gonna crash, Joe. You might want to just hold it, hold playing something between the day, but only play within the day and don't hold any position overnight because the crash always happen overnight, just like what you see here, right? That he released the news on Twitter after hours, and then the futures are already down here, and the aftermarket, push it all the way down, and same with the pre-market. So yeah, it's always gonna be after hours. So if there's a crash coming, it's gonna be after hours on some rumor about Trump, and then be down 500 points. So the next day it'll be down here on the open. So that's why you don't want to carry a position over, because unless you're carrying a put, I guess you can buy one put as a protection, just in case something happened. But I just don't think the crash is gonna happen next week, because I just don't think Trump is gonna be in trouble. But maybe if you think there's a chance, then yeah, buy a put, and that put will be worth 10, 20, 30x. I'm pretty sure of it. If any bad news released, there's gonna be a crash, and it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be all the way down to here for the week at least. But pending, and I'm not expecting that scenario. I don't think so. I think if that doesn't happen, right now it looks like any weakness on the market, especially on Amazon. Amazon is primed to go. It's waiting to go. Especially if you look at Shopify and some of the other stocks that have already gone. Amazon, the overall trend is definitely up. Um, if you look at this overall trend, it's just definitely up. But today was an outlier day. Let's see, a new trend is probably going to establish. But I think, yeah, just got up to play it, with the strategy and adjust the strategy accordingly. But I'm going with the strategy right now, and this is just for the small actions, just to get some results. I think once something's set up and is primed to go, I might load up a little bit bigger for the cause. As long as I don't chase it, as long as I feel like I don't chase it, and I can get that run up. Now I hate when they, I'll probably gonna miss it, because every time they get it, they do this gap up kind of thing, and so it's just sometimes difficult. Now this one is a perfect one where I should have been able to get in somehow, if this, but this was the end of the quarter, and I don't know why I missed this run up. But yeah, if I watch it carefully, next time, or maybe I wasn't just prepared. My strategy, I wasn't prepared for it. But this right here, look at this candle. I mean, this is a perfect example of getting it. Oh, because I know, because this weakness right here, this is a trap. This is a trap misdirection right here, and that's what I mean by wait for the trap, go the opposite. Because this right here is trying to just capture in any shorts. And so going forward, I think that's what's gonna be, is they're gonna try to lay the traps for the shorts, and then all of a sudden it's gonna go. So had I played this strategy uh, on this day, and knew that this was a trap and expected a trap, probably would have gotten in on this 15-minute candle as I slow it down. So if I slow it down, this 15-minute candle is forming. would have pro and follow the trend, I probably would have gotten all of this, and that's a huge gain right here. Yeah, if especially if I bought the calls, and I knew because based on option volume and manipulation, I knew the 3200 was high options volume, and so I probably could have load up. And so this is what I'm expecting to play next week is this scenario, but it's gonna run even bigger next week, pending nothing bad with Trump. So if things works out correctly and the setup is just perfect and I'm able to get it, and maybe get a double position, it's gonna be, something very nice gang, especially if this starts to run. Because right now, to make the real money on these type of months like September, October, where it's gonna be wicked volatility, you're gonna go with the push flush strategy, right? The push flush will make the most money. Make the most money. So that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Um, And once you load up and get the push or the flush, that's gonna allow you to get um to get the results that you want. So I'm gonna do some additional videos, probably on the swing trades and on technical analysis. But right now, I just want to document the strategy I want to implement for October.